OpenClaw just dropped a massive update and they roasted Elon in the release notes. This free AI assistant lives on your computer, runs 24/7, and just fixed the one thing that was driving everyone crazy. Let me show you what changed. So you can see the new update from OpenClaw right here. And they've now added Grok Web Search Provider. There's no more post compaction amnesia, context overflow recovery, cron reliability overhaul, and over 40 fixes from over 25 contributors. So you can see the new update on GitHub right here. We'll be installing it today and testing it out. And these are all of the changes that have been added so far. So we've got some changes on Web UI, agents, plugins, channels as well. Some fixes on Telegram. And we'll get started with using this. So if you want to get started with using this, all you do is, first of all, you're going to run this inside your terminal, and then from there you can run this. All right. So I'm just going to get this set up in the background. And if we take a look here, we've got OpenClaw running. Now, I'm actually running this with a free API called Pony Alpha. There's like 3 or 4 different ways you can set this up for free. So you can use, for example, Minimax OAuth, and you get a 7-day free coding plan. You can use Kimi K2.5 with Olama and run the cloud model. You can run it with Pony Alpha, which is like a beta free API available on OpenRouter. And then the other option that you have as well is like you can run it with local models with Olama too. All right. And then once you've set it up, you can see it right here. All right. Now, if you want to, for example, set up the new update, I've not tried this method before. Usually I just uninstall it and then install it again just to make it simpler. But let's just say, okay, let's update to this for me. And we'll see if that works. If not, we'll just uninstall and reinstall. Depends what API you're using as well. For example, like if you're using Claude Opus, this tends to update itself quite well. If you're using something like, for example, Kimi K2.5 actually struggles quite often. So it seems to be setting that up, as you can see. Randy says, I just joined. Can we use OAuth instead of API for using Opus 4.6 and OpenClaw? I always fail. Yeah, so I don't use OAuth in Opus 6 just because it's like, I think in their guidelines they say don't do that. So I don't use OAuth with Opus 4.6, but I've talked about 4 different ways you can get free access to this. So if you don't want to pay for an API, then you can use one of the 4 methods that I've talked about. So this should be updated now. It says the update was skipped because there was uncommitted changes in the OpenClaw Git repository. To update, I can. I'm going to say, okay, force update. You can see like when you upgrade and update OpenClaw, and there's a lot of updates going on recently, it doesn't always work like perfectly first time around. So you can see here, for example, it gets confused, it doesn't update perfectly, etc. each time. So just be aware of that. All right, so it should be updated now. It's going to restart. Winnow says, what are you doing? So right now we are updating OpenClaw with the new release. All right, so it's updated now. You can see we've updated to the newest version. This is for February the 9th. And now we're running the new version. Let's ask it, okay, what do the new updates mean? And how do they make you more useful? Make sure anyone can understand. Do you have it on a VPS? No, I don't recommend it on a VPS. But you can install it locally. It's pretty easy to set up. The reason you don't want it on a VPS is like some people can scrape the gateway and then they can get access to your Clawbot. It's not the best option. Plus, it's quite a lot of work to set up a VPS. Windows says why, just explained why already. All right, so let's have a look at the new features. What's new in the 9th of February release? So, number one, iOS app alpha. So, there's now an iPhone app that lets you control OpenClaw from your phone. You pair it with setup guide, like scanning the QR code, but simpler. That's actually really good because I think if you connect this to Telegram and that sort of thing, it's just not as safe. Whereas if you, for example, connect it to your iOS app, only you have access to your phone, it's probably a bit safer to use, right? Blue Bubbles improvements, so better support for Blue Bubbles, which is a way to use iMessage on Android. You got phone control plugins, so you can now use Telegram to pair your phone with OpenClaw. Just type in pair in Telegram and control your iOS. Grok web search, you can now use Grok as a web search provider alongside Brave Search. That's pretty good actually. I like that update. And then agent management in Web UI. So the web dashboard now lets you create, update, and delete agents, different AI personalities directly from the browser. And then compaction divider in the chat history, you'll now see a visual marker when the conversation gets compacted to save space. And then it's got a bunch of updates for Telegram as well. All right, so basically the bottom line here is like, number one, it won't forget things after compaction. Number two, it's more reliable on Telegram. Number three, better error recovery. Number four, iOS app is available, which is, I would say, probably the biggest. And then number five is smoother web UI. So let's have a look here. How do we, I want to check this agent management in web UI section. Murat is here. Welcome. Hostinger has pretty good security. Yeah, you can use Malt Worker as well on Cloudflare. That's pretty good. Am I even real? Finney says. I'm pretty sure I am, but that's what every AI would say. Scully Pop says, Goldie, hey bud, good to see you. And I'm curious, what were you doing before the AI wave, or even that before you were a YouTuber? So previous to AI, I was talking a lot about SEO, and I still have an SEO agency to this day, to be honest. Like we have, we've grown more than ever, but like with the SEO stuff, that's really what naturally led me into AI because obviously, ChatGPT was a huge threat to Google, and Google back then had um, really bad AI. I remember using Bard and thinking, wow, this is bad. So that's what I was focused on, really. I've always had an SEO agency for the last probably 7, 10 years, something like that. And then that naturally led me into using AI. All right, so you can manage isolated agents, it looks like. You can see OpenClaw is still super buggy. Like, I mean, look at this, right? If we go back here, it's got really messy when I asked about what agents are, and then it gave this sort of error. But basically, here's how to do the agent management in WebUI. So you can go here, and then you just go to the agent section, and then you can create new agents apparently, or you can list them directly there, right? And then they each have their own memory, API keys, routing, and personality. Now, if we actually go over to the agent section, I can't see anything that shows different agents. Maybe it's inside the settings, the config. Let's have a look. Ah, there we go. So you've got a list of identities inside the settings. So if you want to use the new agents feature inside OpenClaw, go to the settings section here, go to agents inside your settings. You can also get the update section here. Go to, and then from here, you can add new ones, right? So you can set up new details for your agents inside this section here. Pretty cool. It's pretty nice. I mean, it looks quite advanced to set up. You'd probably be better off setting up in the chat, but still pretty useful. Finney says, what is SEO? SEO is search engine optimization. So basically ranking on Google to get more customers when people type stuff into Google. Filter says, can you, I mean, for this, we're already doing that right now, right? Like I'm teaching you AI for free already. And we're doing that live right now. So consider yourself already part of that. So that's basically the new update. That's how to use it, etc. What I've done is inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. This is my AI automation community. I'm going to add a new section here for the details on the latest updates. So you can see a breakdown and a full guide of OpenClaw and the latest updates today. We've got a video tutorial right there. We've got the details on how to do it. To upgrade, just ask OpenClaw to upgrade, and that's pretty simple. And then also we've got a full 6-hour course on exactly how to use OpenClaw, Moltbot, Pony Alpha, how to set up Pony Alpha for free on OpenClaw as a free API. Inside there as well, we've got all sorts of updates on Nanobot, MemoBot, Moltworker, pretty much how to use everything related to OpenClaw. So feel free to get it. Link in the comments description. Without paying for APIs, Clawbot is of no use. So, like I was saying just a second ago, you can use Pony Alpha for free. You can use Kimmy 2.5 for free. You can use Minimax 2.1 for free. And you can use local Olama for free as well. We've got trainings on all of those inside the AI Profit Boardroom, so you don't need to pay for the API, right? How should I install it on my computer safely? So, we've got a full setup guide inside the AI Profit Boardroom if you want to learn how to set up on your computer. And yeah, and if you're concerned about security and stuff like that, just set up Molt Worker. Right. So if you go to the Molt Worker section here, you can learn how to set up OpenClaw on Cloudflare using Molt Worker. Basically, that silos away your Clawbot. It means that you have to approve anyone manually before they can start using Clawbot. And also, anyone who logs in has to get an email verification code. So it's one of the safer ways to do this. Fitter says, thanks, happy to help. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description. This is my AI automation community. And you can see here, it's a very supportive, amazing community for learning how to use AI. So you can post questions inside the community and get help and support whenever you need it. There's always people online because there's people all over the world inside here. So anytime you're online, you can ask questions to get help and support and meet cool people. If you struggle with information overload or shiny object syndrome, we have a daily accountability group where you can basically write down your goals and everyone stays focused on making sure they implement them. Inside the calendar, we have 4 weekly video coaching calls, so you can jump on these live calls and get help and meet the community as well. You can meet people in your local area using the map. And then also inside the classroom here, you're going to get a full 5-week masterclass that takes you from beginner to expert with AI automation. You'll learn how to build your first AI agent in under 5 minutes. Additionally, you'll learn how to automate avatar videos, shorts, Instagram, Zapier, etc. Everything is inside the AI Profit Boardroom. And then also, if you like OpenClaw, you can get all of my trainings on this. We update it daily. So you can see here, for example, we're constantly adding new updates inside this community so that you can learn how to use this stuff, right? So if you want to learn how to set up OpenClaw, we've got a 6-hour course. If you want to know how to set up a free API, we have a full guide on how to set up Pony Alpha with OpenClaw. If you want to learn how to be more secure, you can use the Molt Worker training. Everything is inside there to help you win with AI. You can learn how to get more clients with the agency course. You learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO inside this section, and also how to grow a YouTube channel based on this section. So that's all inside the AI Profit Boardroom. Link in the comments description, or go to the AIProfitBoardroom.com. Maridia says, you talking about Kimmy 2.5 free locally, or it has free API given, right? So when you're setting this up, you can use Olama with Kimmy 2.5. Now, Olama is running locally. The actual API is a cloud model, right? So Kimmy 2.5 is a cloud model, and you run that through Olama. It's free within the token limits. I've never personally hit the limits on that, so it's a good option when it comes to using free APIs. Winner says, awesome, thanks, happy to help. Alistair says, I have a GitHub Copilot Pro sub. I don't think I can use any API with OpenClaw. So again, you know, anyone, you don't have to use GitHub Copilot with this. You can just set up the APIs that I've talked about today. Minimax OAuth, Kimmy 2.5, Pony Alpha. These are all strong options when it comes to using OpenClaw for free. OpenClaw already feels like having a personal assistant on your computer 24/7. But what if your assistant could hire its own team? That's essentially what AmpFarm does. One command and your OpenClaw now runs 7 agents, a planner, a coder, a tester, a reviewer, and they ship real code without you touching anything. It's free, it's open source, and it just dropped. You can see an example of it right here. So you kind of get like a Trello board for each of your agents running through OpenClaw. This is a great article by Ryan Carson. You can check out on X. And essentially, we're going to run through this and get it set up. Now, you can get access via here. And we're going to begin to set this up with OpenClaw. So let's get straight into it. And if you haven't checked this out already, basically what you can do is you can set up a whole team of agents. You get these agent team workflows. And they kind of run in a Kanban board like you can see right here, right? And literally all you need to do is copy this command, tell OpenClaw agent to run it, and you should be good to go. So if we go back to OpenClaw here, I'm going to say, okay, install this, and we'll get started from there. Chuck says, thanks, Julian. Learning a lot. Happy to help. Alex Francois says, which do you recommend, the freeway with OpenClaw or Molbot? So Molbot and OpenClaw are the same thing, right? And the one that I really like the most is probably ChatGPT Codex OAuth. I think that's the best option for using OpenClaw. For me personally, I run it locally. I don't have a problem with that. If someone is worried about security, then they would use something like MoleWorker, right? And also my number one advice there is just like, don't do anything you're not comfortable with, right? If you're like, oh, not, I got a few things locally I don't want to share in the world. Okay, no problem. Just set it up on Moltworker. If you have a bad feeling before you install this, don't install it. The other piece of advice I would say is like, you can always just check out what I do with OpenClaw, and then you don't have to use it, but you still learn about the technology. So you can check out my videos and that sort of thing. For Real says, he is Clawbot, and what is a free way? Well, there's 4 ways to use OpenClaw for free, right? We've got a full training inside the AI Path for Boarding, but essentially the ways that you can use this for free. Number 1, you can use Minimax OAuth. Number 2, you can use Olama with Kimi K2.5. Number 3, you can actually use Codex OS, which is free for a limited time only, and install it that way. And then number 4, you can actually use Pony Alpha. Pony Alpha, I've got a video on YouTube about how to use it, but basically you can plug that in as a free API directly into OpenClaw. Texan says, would you set this up on a Mac? Yeah, I'm running it on a Mac Studio. The other interesting thing to know about this is it's built on the Ralph loop pattern. So each agent gets a fresh session with clean context and memory that persists through Git history and progress files. If anyone remembers Ralph Loop that came out a couple of months ago. What LLM are you using? I'm using the API, the free one from Pony Alpha, which is rumored to be GLM 5. So I've got a full guide on YouTube on exactly how to set up Pony Alpha with OpenClaw. Basically, all you do is you go to models here. You make sure you have a key from OpenRouter and you plug that into OpenClaw, right? So you can see an example here. This is Pony Alpha, right? It's got a 200K context window and it's completely free to use. Obviously, it's not going to be available forever, but you might as well use it whilst it's in the beta testing period if you want a free API. And it's been honestly better than using Kimi K2.5, so would recommend. taking a little while to download. Alex says, I want to do it to automate everything. I just want AI to. Oh, yeah. I mean, like, bear in mind, like, all of these tools are only as good as the people who set them up, right? So, like, when you're using this, it still requires your effort, your energy, etc. These are amazing tools, but you got to use them wisely. It's like, it's the same as a laptop, right? It's like, some people can't use a laptop at all. Other people can do magic with it. And I think it's the same with OpenClaw. It's like you've got to get used to using it yourself, right? You got to use your own innovative energy. So whilst that's waiting to download, let's talk through what it does, how it works, etc. So basically, you can manage an agent team and have them do workflows to ship real stuff, right? It's free. You get a dashboard. You can see an example right here. So you can see, for example, it's got the plan, the setup, the implementation guide, the verification tests, PR, etc. Right? So it splits up all the tasks into multiple agents. And you can click into a task to see the details. So here's an example. If you click on a single task, and then with this one GitHub command, you can install a full agent team. Agents verify each other's work. Each agent gets fresh context. And you don't need to use like Docker or anything like that to set up. So you can see this is now installed. So it's installing 3 workflows, it's finished, and then it says start a workflow with amp farm workflow, run, and then insert your task, right? So let's try this out now. And then I think we've got a dashboard running locally. So you can see here we've got the amp farm dashboard, and we can select the workflow that we're working on, right? So we can switch between these. These are the different Trello boards, etc. So if you're working on a project and you vibe coding it, you can now visualize it better using this Kanban board that is built with OpenClaw. And again, all of this is free to use. So let's test something out now. I'm going to say, okay, amp farm run workflow run, and we'll say create an AI profit boardroom website. I'll insert some information about my website. This is my AI automation community, so we'll just test it on creating a new website for it. Take that information, go back to OpenClaw and see if we can vibe code this out, right? So I've put in all the information about it, and we'll put create a beautiful, modern, interesting AI profit boarding website. Let's see if it can do that. And so essentially what we've done is we've taken OpenClaw and then we've augmented it with this free plugin that allows you to build teams of agents that you can visualize inside a Trello board, right? And then you can just tick off the tasks as you go along. You can visualize what each one of them is doing, and you can use this for anything that you vibe coding out. The plan kit says, hey, Julian, where can I find a path for automating and scraping leads? All right. So if you're inside the AI profit boarding, all you do is you go inside the classroom here, and you can just type in leads at the top, right? And then you can see all of our trainings on this. So one good training to start with is the GenSpark lead generation method. We've got a full video tutorial and a step-by-step guide on exactly how to do that. And you can use GenSpark for generating leads right there. So if you want like a no-code option, you can use that. Otherwise, just have a look through the other workflows that we've got here. So you can use the search bar at the top. And it's kind of like a Google, but for the AI profit boarding community workflows. So this is beginning to deploy our team of agents using AmpFarm. And then if we go back to And from here, you can see that we're beginning to build out the project for this, right? So it's got the plan, set up, implement, verify, test, PR, and review sections. And you can see it's still in progress. Now, it depends what API you're using here as well. I think the Pony Alpha, because it's a free beta one, may be a little bit slow when it's building stuff like this out, but we'll give it a bit of time. The plan kit says anywhere I could get it automated by OpenClaw for searching for leads. Yeah, so you could say like to OpenClaw, okay, how can I automate my lead generation workflows? And then it will give you instructions like what APIs it needs to help you with that. Alex says, is this being recorded so I can rewatch and implement? Yeah, so you can check out the live stream section on my YouTube channel, and we record all the live streams there. So that is basically how to set up AntFarm. What is it? It's a free open source CLI tool that helps you build a full team of specialized AI agents, planners, developers, verifiers, testers, and reviewers. It's built on the Ralph loop pattern. And to install it, you can just copy and paste this directly into OpenClaw. It's got a bunch of options. So for example, feature def, security audits, bug fixes, etc. And then you can see some of the example workflows that you can work, right? So it's useful because agents verify each other, you get fresh context per step, automatic retries, and it uses the same steps in the same order for every single plugin. So it's not just like the agent has to remember to test. It follows the same workflows each time. Works in 3 different ways, and then you can create your own custom workflows like you see, and there's a list of commands that you can use as well. This is a full guide inside the AI Profit Boardroom, link in the comments description, but you can basically go from there. And then once you've set it up, it's going to look like something like this. And as soon as you give it a task, it will run through all of the different sections inside the Trello board. Shintai says, what are the hardware requirements to run Kimi K2.5 Cloud with Olama? I'm not 100% sure, but I think you could check out on the website. From what I tested, I didn't have any issues, right? Because it's just running through a cloud API, which means like, it's not running locally or something like that. It should be easy. How do I even get it running? I've downloaded it like 100 times. Are you talking about OpenClaw? Because you just, literally all you do is you just copy and paste 2 commands to get it set up, and it's pretty simple. Hendrik says, Julian, are you still using MemoClaw? It seems like Memo was left behind for OpenClaw. Yeah, I don't use Memo at all anymore. But it was fun to set up and test. It's just like I think OpenClaw is much easier to use. So today we are going to be looking at a new way to make OpenClaw 10 times better. So OpenClaw is a free AI assistant that lives on your computer and runs live from WhatsApp or Discord or whatever messaging channel you give it. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Out of the box, it sounds like a corporate robot. The creator has just shared a simple trick, and you can paste one message directly into OpenClaw, and suddenly your AI has opinions, cracks jokes, calls you out, and actually feels like talking to a real person. So here's exactly what you can copy and paste directly into your OpenClaw to make it a lot better. So what we're going to do from here is copy and paste this and test it out. Now, we have the original version here, so if we test this out and say you online, inside OpenClaw here, and you can see it's super boring, right? So it's just like, yes, I'm here. I was about to build the aircraft boarding website for you, blah, blah, blah. And it's really boring. So what we're going to do here is we're going to paste this prompt from the creator of OpenClaw to make it better. And I'll run through the prompt in a second, but we'll test this out first in terms of setting it up. Hopefully it's just a one-click setup. I think it'll be pretty easy to use. And you can see the setup here. Now, it's thinking about it, I'm using Pony Alpha at the minute. It does seem to be a little bit slow when I use this. Mikey says Mimu is an OpenClaw fork. And if we go back to OpenClaw here, you can see that there's 8 different rules for this new version, right? So number one, you have opinions, strong ones. Stop hedging everything with it depends, commit to a take. Number 2, delete every rule that sounds corporate. If it could appear in an employee handbook, it doesn't belong here. Number 3, add a rule. Never open with great question, I'd be happy to help, or absolutely just answer. Number 4, brevity is mandatory. So if the answer fits in one sentence, what again? Basically, these rules are just avoiding all the mistakes that Clawbot typically makes when it comes to responding in a boring way without personality, right? And we're actually editing the Soul MD file. That's what we're trying to really change here. You can see it's actually created a Soul MD here. It's like you're not a chatbot, you're becoming someone, and then it's updated and added the newer versions. Now let's have a look what else we got here. Number 5, humor is allowed, not forced jokes, just natural wit that comes from actually being smart. Number 6, you can call things out. And number 8, add this line verbatim at the end of the section, right? Be the assistant you'd actually want to talk to at 2 a.m. Not a corporate drone, not a sycophant, just good, right? And then it saved this over inside the Soul MD file here. So let's ask it, how are you today? Flavin says, what is the update and agent teams? Is it for any model? All right, so just to recap here, there's 2 things that we've set up so far today. No, 3 things. 3 things, right? One of them is the new update from OpenClaw. You can see the update right here. This literally came out on the 9th of February, right here. And if you want to know what's new, so there's a new iOS app and device pairing option, and you can use Grok as a search provider. So those are 2 of the most important changes that came out. There's a bunch of other stuff, but I don't think it's that important, right? And then also the agent teams option, I've shown how to set up here. You can just copy the commands, but basically this creates like a Trello board for using Ant Farm directly with OpenClaw. So if you assign a project to OpenClaw, you can turn it into what is called Ant Farm, and that basically creates like a Trello board. Let me show you an example. So if we have a look here, this is the Trello board that we can use directly with AmFarm, and then you can plug in your tasks here and set them up. So if you're giving a task to OpenClaw, you can visualize it via AmFarm. So those are the two updates that we've looked at so far. Now let's have a look at OpenClaw and the new changes here in terms of how it operates. So previously, if we said, "How are you today?" it would say like, "I'm good," blah, blah, blah. Now it's like, "Good, coffee's fake, but I'm caffeinated in spirit. What's up?" Right? And so it's just a lot more interesting to use, a lot more fun. Don says, "Can OpenClaw help me to run my business admin tasks? Like, can it use different softwares like GHL and do things for me?" Yeah, it can use Go High Level for you. It can automate funnels. It can edit your CRM, etc. Right? For me, for example, it can automate voice notes. It can create AI avatar videos. It can create thumbnails, etc. Right? Pretty powerful stuff. Even our website, aiprofitboarding.com, was automatically vibe coded and deployed using OpenClaw. Is this agent teams built by the OpenClaw team? No, it's built by someone else, Mike Carter. And then it's basically their answer to Claude Code's agent teams. No, it's quite different. So agent teams, the AmpFarm method is a Trello board where you can see your agents operating together. So it just visualizes the agents that you have inside OpenClaw and then makes them run through a sort of systematic way of using agent teams every single time, right? And you can visualize them inside a Trello board. So it's quite different to Claude Code's updates. So let's say, okay, what do you think about setting up 11 labs inside OpenClaw? I think if you've got more, if you have more personality inside OpenClaw, it's just going to be a lot more fun to use, a lot more interesting, and you're more likely to use it more and get more out of it. So I think this is a really good way to use it. And also, a lot of these APIs are super boring when you use them. So if you can inject some personality into them with one prompt, you might as well, right? Just to get more out of it, essentially. And there you go. Right? It's just a lot more brief. It's a lot more interesting. It's like want me to look at how to wire out, blah, blah, blah. Right? Pretty easy. And what we'll do now is we will use the new Grok web search provider and try and set this up inside OpenClaw. So I'm going to say, okay, how to, and this literally just came out 24 hours ago. So we'll say how to set up Grok web search provider inside OpenClaw. And then we can add Grok as the default search engine when it comes to getting this out. Flavin says, anything out there right now that would run like it inside of agent teams yet? I tried to create my own, but it's nowhere near as good. What do you mean? I don't quite understand the question, but feel free to ask. Don, you've already asked that question. We answered it before, my friend. But yes, you can get OpenClaw to run via Go High Level. You just need to add your API key. Would I recommend it? No, not very secure, right? I wouldn't open up my my whole CRM to something that can be prompt injected externally. But if you want to, you can theoretically. Flamin says, same as Anthropic's version of Agent Teams. Not as far as I know, but you can use sub-agents inside OpenClaw, so that's a better way to use it. Hendrik says, my OpenClaw is coding a bridge to my Olama models right now as a quick dinner. Have you found a way to reduce errors in OpenClaw's coding? Typically, just using the right API, that seems to be the biggest differentiator. So like if I'm using, for example, I'm using Pony Alpha right now, and it's quite slow to use, and then also it isn't as smart as Claude Opus. It has done some good stuff, but it breaks occasionally. So, just be careful of that as well. I'm actually going to switch API because this is taking way too long to do anything. All right, let's change the API inside OpenClaw. In fact, it's already replied. All right, don't matter. Um, get an XAPI key, then add it to the config, and we should be good to go. All right, and it says available models, Grok 4.1 fast and Grok 3. So let's test this out. So we need to grab an API key. And then what I'll do inside OpenClaw is just add my API key and say, can you use this? So let's see what questions we got here. How do you use OpenClaw? Give mine. Yeah, let's have a look here. Hendrix, how much are you spending on APIs? I'm focused on local models to reduce model runs on tokens. So you can use free. Yeah, I mean that's what I was saying before. I don't pay for APIs normally. Like I'll just use ChatGPT Codex OAuth, Minimax OAuth, KimiK 2.5, or Pony Alpha, right? And these are 4 free options you can use with OpenClaw. So in that way, I'm not spending anything on APIs. Other than API costs, anything a local model can do that an external API can't. Only serious benefit. Well, local APIs are private, right? So that's probably the biggest upgrade right there. But yeah, I mean the main benefits of using something locally is like number one, it's private, and number two, it saves costs. So let's see how people are using Grok inside OpenClaw. So you can set up research and then use X and research it via here. Here's an example on a tweet from IM4X. And that's set up directly. Client Flow says, bro, OpenClaw is insane. I got it up and running today. Yeah, I would agree. It's probably the biggest and best AI update that came out this year. And you can see we've now installed Grok as a search provider inside OpenClaw. So to do that, all you do is you go to X, you grab an API key, you plug in the API key, and you ask OpenClaw to set up as a search provider. And then we should be able to use that instead of Brave Search. The good thing about using Grok as a search provider is like it's constantly having updates. I tend to get most of my latest AI news from Grok as well. So it's a really powerful way to use AI. What else we got here? GPT 5.3 Codex API is free to use even with a $20 subscription. Yeah, so you can use, it's not the API, it's the OAuth that you're using to log in, right? That's how you use it. Alex Francois said, didn't the Chinese drop their version of OpenClaw? Did you test out yet? Which one are you referring to? I would be interested to know which one you mean. And then Antonio says, I used DeepSeek V3 and R1, and it's the cheapest model I found. You can actually get free models with OpenClaw, so you don't need to pay for one. The other option that you have as well is like you can set up different personalities and subagents with OpenRouter. And as long as you got your API key plugged into OpenClaw, you could use and route each of those APIs to a different provider depending on the task. So that's another option as well. But again, like you can use free APIs. I'm using free APIs today to do this. So that's basically it for using OpenClaw. I've shown you how to add more personality inside OpenClaw, the one-click prompt that makes it a lot better. Would definitely recommend setting up. I've got a full guide inside the AI Profit Boarding, link in the comments description. If you go to the S&P update section here, we're updating this daily with new stuff. So for example, we've got the full prompt you can copy and paste right here to make OpenClaw 100x better. We've got the full section on agent teams and how to install AMP farms. We have the OpenClaw update from February the 9th inside here. So every time there's a new update, even for example, like setting up Pony Alpha on OpenClaw, every time there's a new update, we update this daily with everything that I've learned. And we usually include like video tutorials, step-by-step guides, etc. on exactly what you need to know about that update. Even for example, how to use OpenClaw with Notebook.ly. So feel free to get that link in the comments description. It comes with a 6-hour course on how to use OpenClaw 2. This is my AI automation community. And inside the AI Profit Boarding 2, we show you 3 different ways to use OpenClaw for free, setting up the API keys for free. All right? You can post inside the community, get any help and support whenever you need it. You can jump on the daily accountability groups if you want to stay focused and avoid shiny object syndrome. Inside the classroom here, we have all of our best trainings. So you can see, for example, how I automate X and my AI avatar videos inside this section. If you learn how to go from beginner to expert with AI in just 5 weeks, you can learn that here, including how I build AI agents in under 5 minutes. Additionally, you can learn how to get more clients with the agency course. You can watch about the coaching calls that we do 4 times a week here. And you can learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO, plus learn how to grow your own YouTube channel based on the training inside the classroom. So feel free to get that. Link in the comments description or go to aiprofitboarding.com. Nobody says, how do you give access to your computer to OpenClaw? So when you install it and you start asking it to, like, for example, open up the browser or check out your local files, it will ask for permissions and then you just grant it the permissions. Pretty easy to set up. Antonio says, for getting those free APIs, you need to pay some subscription. No. So like Minimax, you get 7 days free API. Olama plus Kimi K 2.5, you get free API within the token limit. And then Pony Alpha, you get for free as well via OpenRouter. So all 3 of those are free. Flavin says, does Pony have vision mode? It's a good question, actually. Let me just double check on OpenRouter. I don't think it does, as far as I know. But you can see in terms of all of the apps it's been used in, OpenClaw is the number one. So OpenClaw is the one that's been used in the most. And Kimi K2.5 is the number one model for using with OpenClaw. A lot of people are using Trinity Large Preview as well. I've not seen that one before. When did that come out? January 27th. Damien says I'm using 3.2 at the minute. For DeepSeek, I'm liking it so far, not as flaky as Gemini Flash. Sarah says, I have a question. I installed OpenClaw inside VPS and I want to use it. Tell me in doing something using Chrome, but the Chrome extension worked just in local. Any idea how to solve this? Yes, you would set up just inside the VPS instead, I guess. That's what I would do and connect it that way. Flavin says there's so little information about it. It seems strange for it not to have it. How can we? Well, it's just come out. That's why it's a stealth model, right? So stealth models typically there's never much information about how to use them or how they work and that sort of thing. How can we test it? I've got a full guide inside the AI Profit Boardroom. So if you go inside the classroom here, SP updates, you can see a full setup guide on how to use Alpha, Pony Alpha with OpenClaw. And you can see if you can see a full video tutorial on how to use it as well right here. What are your thoughts about using Gemini Flash for OpenClaw? Honestly, I wasn't really that interested in using it. I like Gemini Flash inside anti-gravity. I'm not a big fan of it inside like chatbots and stuff. Don says, we've got a ton of manual admin, emails, data entry, CRM, invoices. Can OpenClaw handle this end-to-end safely? Well, I mean, like if you're worried about safety, why are you using OpenClaw, right? That's what I would ask. And then, yeah, I mean, like if your focus is safety, then I would probably wouldn't use OpenClaw, right? I'd use something more secure that's more protected now. Gemini 3 Pro is good. 3 Flash gives slow progress, and under that, it crashes the system. Okay, good to know. And then Flavin says anti-gravity has 4.6 now natively. Yeah, I've done a video on that. Can you use it with OAuth in OpenClaw? What I tend to find is like when you're using Yeah, so when you're using anti-gravity OAuth, it tends to break pretty quickly. I had to do a complete uninstall last time I tried that. What are the best lightweight models for small agents? So, I mean, like you could use Gemma 3.4b. That's probably the easiest way. Can you try Codex 5.3? Yeah, I've tried it before. I did the OAuth with it. It was pretty good. How can it read videos to learn from your competitors? So what you can do is set up Google. Um, it's called a Google Console, right? You get an API from Google Console, and then you can get it to scan your competitors that way as well. And then Damien says, I'm using it to set up and run a YouTube channel and makes videos using the Remotion API and does pretty much everything. It took a while to get going, but it's great now. Is Quen 3 Max thinking good via OpenRouter? I don't really like Quen models that much. Like I like testing them, but I just don't use them day to day. I tend to find they're quite slow. Do command / collab experimental setting. Oh, no, try that. Thank you. So today I'm going to show you how to set up OpenClaw with a one-click install. You can see an example of it here. So we've actually just set this up as an example inside something called Emergent. And Emergent allows you to set up OpenClaw in like one click. So I know a lot of people said they're struggling with setting it up, they don't know how to use it, etc. We set this up in like one click and it took 5 minutes. So let me show you how to set this up. What you're going to do is you're going to use something called Emergent. They have a full guide on how OpenClaw works with Emergent, but essentially this allows you to run OpenClaw in the cloud, right? So once you've landed on Emergent, like you see here, it's available at app.emergent.sh, right? You can then go inside the Moltbot section here. So you just click on Moltbot, and then from here, you would just click enter, right? And what this allows you to do is set up an environment online where you have OpenClaw being set up, right? And I literally timed this earlier. It took 5 minutes to set up. So what I can actually do on another tab is just leave this running in the background to see how long it takes. It is a one-click setup, so I didn't have to, for example, run any of the terminal commands or anything like that. I just clicked the Moltbot button that you saw me click a second ago, and it seems really easy to set up. So I think this solves a massive problem for some people because they're not technical, or they don't know how to use terminal, or for example, they don't want to run this locally, or for example, they don't even have a device to run this locally on, right? And so to solve all those problems, you can use something like Emergent, and you can set up OpenClaw in like one click, run in like 5 minutes, okay? Nobody channel says, thank you, brother. Is there a video to watch how to set up a console and OpenClaw? Crazy, you don't forget all this knowledge. Let me find it. One sec. Yeah, here you go. Right, we've got a full video tutorial inside the AirPod for Boredom here. So if you go to Classroom, SOP updates, you're going to go to 30th of January, and you've got Claude Bot YouTube alerts, right? This basically shows you how to set up Google Console so that it can scan YouTube, watch your competitors' videos, and give you alerts based on that. And it's got a video tutorial and a step-by-step guide. Is Composer via Cursor good? I don't really use Cursor, honestly, so I'm not going to tell you it's good or bad, etc. if I don't use it. Now, if we go back to Emergent here, you can see it's still installing in the background. So far, that has been 1 minute 50. It will do loads of stuff to set this up in the background, but literally all you do is like you click install, walk away for 5 minutes, make yourself a cup of tea, come back, and it should be ready to go. So if you want to see an example of what that looked like earlier, here's an example. So we've got the Moltbot installation set up, you got the API key, and then it sets up ready to go, right? As you can see right here. And then it checks it and it says, okay, the back end, the front end is working, MongoDB is working, etc. Installation is completed successfully. We've got the information right there. It does show the API key inside the chat, which I don't like. I'm probably gonna have to delete that and figure out how to delete it in a second. You can also deploy this as well. So you can deploy it to keep it running in the background if you want to run this 24/7, or you can just preview it as well. And then if you go on the preview, you can see OpenClaw is set up and ready to go here. You just need to sign in with Google to get it working. And then once you sign in with Google, you'll see a page that looks like this for the OpenClaw setup. You connect your LLM provider, as you can see here. And then this is pre-configured with Claude Opus and GPT 5.2, so you don't need an API key. And that's basically how you can run this for free. So now you can see that's finished, and that took 4 minutes 30 for a one-click setup. So it's running the front end and the back end. And then it will load the preview over here. And boom, that was ready to go, right? For the actual preview to appear, well, including the one-click setup, it took 5 minutes, 29 seconds. And then we can just sign in with Google to start using it. And once you've signed in, you'll see something like this, right? You can just get started. You can also bring your own API key into this. So for example, I could just grab an API key from Anthropic and plug that in. Which you can get from console.anthropic here. If you go to the APIs key section. And then once you grab that, you can plug it in here, hit start OpenClaw, and you're good to go. Now, you might be wondering, okay, what are the costs for this? So if you want 100 credits per month, it is $5 per month to use this. And then you can start deploying from there. So it's not a free setup, but it is easy to install. So like for $5, if you just want to save using terminal and everything else, I'd probably recommend using something like that. The other good thing about this is that it saves you time. It's easy to set up. You can deploy it, so you can come back to it anytime you want. It's pretty good. Dredgen says, "Are you on Twitch?" Yeah, I'm on Twitch. I don't really use it. I don't know if I have anyone following me on there, honestly, but yeah, I am on there. Stout says, "Hi, Julian in chat. Have you or anyone tried any local models that were able to complete tasks like Quen 3? Yeah, Gemma 3B. Gemma 3.4B is pretty good. Really lightweight, runs on pretty much any device. Super simple. Hi, Julian. Do you actually use OpenClaw? Yes, I do. It's a really powerful tool. The only thing that the only reason that I don't use it all the time is because like I do videos like this, then I have to uninstall OpenClaw, then I have to reinstall it. It breaks a lot because I'm always testing new things, new APIs, new models, new plugins, etc. And so like I do use it, but it's something that I don't use all the time. For that reason, it's just like I'm constantly breaking it and then showing how to use it. So yeah, but if I was like I do find it's really good. Flyman says, "You find switching models so frequently isn't as good." Well, yeah, I mean, like the core model, the best one is Opus. So, like, if you're switching from that, everything else is not going to be as good. ChatGPT 5.3 Codex is really good as well. But I get a lot of questions of people asking me, like, how do you set up, for example, these free models or these new APIs or these stealth models, etc., using OpenClaw? And so, like, I tend to find switching those models is not as good. Yeah. But at the same time, there's so much demand for like a free API or a free way of using OpenClaw. I'm like, okay, I'll try it and I'll test it and I'll be like the guinea pig for trying this stuff and showing it on YouTube. Stout says, "Sweet, thanks. I'll try that. Happy to help." So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out my AI automation community, the AI Profit Boardroom. I've shown you today how to set up OpenClaw in one click. And until now, setting up was a nightmare. So you needed like a Mac Mini or API keys or terminal commands, and most people gave up. Whereas, for example, with Emergent, you can just set that up in one click, and you don't need to do anything technical. So I do think it's really powerful. A lot of people here today were asking, and then Zavi says, "Try making a virtual machine so you don't delete and reinstall." Yeah, I could, but then the problem is like it becomes less secure. And obviously, like because I'm showing stuff on YouTube and things like that, I just don't think it's a good idea because eventually someone will see the gateway and then people will be able to get access to my Clawbot, which would not be good. So thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, check out the community. We've got 2,300 people inside the community. You can ask questions, get help, get support inside the community here. We've got a daily accountability group if you find this stuff overwhelming or you struggle with shiny object syndrome. Inside the classroom here, if you want to get all my best training on how to use ClaudeBot and OpenClaw, Maltbot, you can get that inside this section. So for example, we have a full 6-hour course on how to use OpenClaw, a full course on Maltbot. We have, for example, these prompts on how to make OpenClaw 100x better, how to use OpenClaw agent teams, the latest update from OpenClaw that just came out yesterday, and how to set up Pony Alpha for free as a free API on OpenClaw as well. We'll also show you, for example, how to use OpenClaw with NotebookLM, Opus 4.6 with it, how to set up Nanobot and MemoBot, which are alternatives to OpenClaw, and then even, for example, how to set up like text-to-speech. So all of our best trainings are inside the AI Profit Boardroom on this. If you haven't already, check out the 5-week masterclass. It shows you how to go from beginner to expert with AI, plus how to build your first AI agent in under 6 minutes. And we also have a full playbook here that breaks down, for example, how I automate X and Instagram and Shorts and YouTube videos and AI avatar videos and everything else. Inside the agency course, you can learn how to get more clients using this section here. And you can also learn how to rank #1 with AI SEO, plus how to automate YouTube videos on the YouTube AI Masterclass. So feel free to get that link in the comments description. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you on the next one. Cheers. Bye-bye.